Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to the HODLNOTS Weekly Warm-Up. I'm John.
I'm Vicky.
This is the news at 9 a.m. UTC. Let's get into some of the crypto headlines over the last few days. Bitcoin! Woo! Are we back? Bitcoin soars above 113,000 as the US Treasury hints at a China trade deal. Now, Bitcoin's unexpected Sunday pump continues as assets have, or the asset has surged past 113,000 for the first time since last week, Tuesday, currently sitting at just shy of 115,000. Now, this comes following positive news from US Secretary Bessent, who noted that China is ready to make a deal that will remove the 100% tariff imposed by POTUS, President of the United States. Now, if you recall, Donald Trump shocked the financial markets on October 10th when he claimed that China was deceitful in some sensitive economic areas and warned that the US would impose a 100% tariff against several products. Later, he confirmed that the new taxation, which was supposed to come official on November 1st. However, the leaders of the two superpowers have scheduled a meeting this week in Europe. In the meantime, both parties' delegations have met on a couple of occasions to discuss these terms. So amazing how an announcement of tariffs and taxations can shake things up. But things are looking positive. Things are looking up. Bitcoin reclaiming 115 for the moment. Over to you, Vicky.
Yeah, and still over actually that side of the world with both countries-ish. And Trump pardons CZ and declares that war on crypto is over. Woohoo. So, US President Donald Trump has granted a full pardon to CZ. He's the founder of Binance. Everyone should know that. Concluding months of speculation over his legal fate and making a major shift in Washington's approach to cryptocurrency regulation. So the White House announced the decision on last Thursday, stating that Trump had exercised his constitutional authority by issuing a pardon for Mr. Zhao, who was prosecuted by the Biden administration in their war on cryptocurrency. And then, as I said, he declared the war on crypto is over. So Zhao is one of the world's wealthiest crypto figures, and he pleaded guilty in late 2023 to failing to maintain an anti-money laundering program, which led to a $4.3 billion settlement with regulators and a 4-month prison sentence. So his guilty plea also forced Binance to cease operation in the US. The pardon follows nearly a year of lobbying and private meetings aimed at persuading the Trump administration to reverse Zhao's conviction. So it's happened, and hopefully Binance will now get back into the US. So fingers crossed. It's great news.
Absolutely. We're starting to see Europe opening up its doors towards exchanges as well. We're seeing regulations shift. And yeah, fingers crossed that Binance does come back to the US in full force. Now, going to the other side of the world, and we're starting to see this trend increase. We spoke about the Chinese creating their own stable coin pegged to the yuan, as well as now Japan, besides some other countries like Kazakhstan as well. But to Japan, they are launching the JPYC, the Japanese yen coin, launching today. So this is the first time ever that they are launching this, and this marks a major milestone in the country's push towards blockchain-based finance. Now, the rollout comes out after Japan's Financial Services Agency gave its approval, and institutional participation has increased, suggesting a shift in the country's historically cash-heavy economy. Now, the JPYC stablecoin is fully convertible into yen and backed by domestic savings and Japanese government bonds. Now, Japan's adoption of digital payments has increased from 13% in 2010 to over 42% in 2024. And this new project seeks to accelerate this growth. Now, the JPYC will initially waive transaction fees, earning instead from interest on JGB holdings. So this is very bullish, ladies and gents, as Japan, one of the world's economic powerhouses as well, comes on board with their own stablecoin. let's see what other countries will start to do as well. Over to you.
Yeah, and from one powerhouse country wise to another powerhouse institutional wise. So JP Morgan is to let institutions use Bitcoin and Ethereum as loan collateral, marking major Wall Street shift. So JP Morgan is warming up to crypto, and the company plans to let institutional clients use their Bitcoin and Ethereum as collateral for loans. That would be a big deal on its own, but it's especially notable considering what CEO Jamie Dimon has said in the past. He once compared Bitcoin to a pet rock, claiming crypto was mostly for criminals, and even said, if I was the government, I'd close it down. So now they'll be accepting Bitcoin and Ethereum. How times have changed. And that's really good news, again, for adoption.
We're starting to see a lot of those narratives change from the large banks and investment firms over the years, especially now as governments start adopting. Now, not just governments, but entire countries as well. And this one comes from my side of the world. So, countries in Africa are starting to approve more and more crypto laws as global and African adoption grows. Now, crypto laws are popping up across Africa as countries race to offer favorable conditions to the crypto industry and balance consumer safety concerns. Yesterday, the government of the Bank of Ghana, well, sorry, the governor of the Bank of Ghana, the country's central bank said that crypto regulations will be in place by the end of 2025. This follows draft guidelines that the bank published last year. Now, by introducing strong legal footing for crypto investors and companies, Ghana will join 9 other countries on the continent that have laws in place already for these digital assets. Now, in general, crypto adoption is very much growing in Africa, particularly sub-Saharan Africa. Grassroots adoption and retail activity have make this region the third fastest growing region for crypto. So, having a look at not just Ghana, but here are the other countries in Africa so far that have developed or are developing specific legal frameworks, and that include Ghana, South Africa, Nigeria, Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, the Seychelles, Mauritius, Botswana, and Namibia. And that's just the start, ladies and gents. We are going to be exploring more on this, we believe, in the HODLNOTS Happy Hour Hangout within November. This is quite a big topic. We did cover last week how Ripple has also partnered with the one of the largest banks in South Africa, Absa, to allow more of this access globally. So very, very exciting times. Third biggest region that is in terms of crypto adoption. I think he's got a story on another region and crypto adoption.
Yeah, Australia is actually has just emerged as the world's most crypto curious investors. Shame that the government is actively working against its citizens on this, but anyway, the Australian crypto user base is expected to grow to 11.16 million by next year, which is nearly 41% of Australians. So Australians show the world's highest per capita interest in cryptocurrency, according to the web traffic data, which most activity focused on trading and speculation. So data compiled by a venture firm, the crypto division, calculated the percentage of web traffic from each country across the top 30 tokens on CoinGecko, filtering out Bitcoin and stablecoins. So Australians had the highest per capita percentage of token-related web traffic, which is 74.63% per 1 billion people, while South Koreans were a close second with 73.48% of token-related web traffic, and users from the United Kingdom were third with 62.15 per 1 billion. So interestingly, the United States lagged as only 40.73% of web traffic were token-related activities. So the report also found that crypto users from developed nations gravitated towards trading and speculation, while users from developing nations were more likely to participate in on-chain activities, which was indicated by the mobile wallet usage as well. So Australia leading the way, even though Australia has not a big population. And as I mentioned, government's actually really trying to curtail that. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, it is an interesting data set there, Vicky, in terms of developed countries.
Mm.
Australia, the UK, South Korea. I'm sure Japan is pretty much up there as well. But it shows that there's a lot of curiosity around crypto, definitely in Australia. Now, that's pretty good timing because in just less than a month, is the Australian Crypto Convention, which Bitcoin Tav HODLNOTS will be there. We're going to be chatting to a lot of crypto curious people around all the products that are on offer. Exciting times. We're looking forward to it. Now, speaking about also excitement, it's nice to see that some of the metrics above Vicky there have changed somewhat. And yeah, tell us what's been happening with the first one over your left shoulder there.
Yeah, doesn't the fear and greed index look healthier today? So it's holding around 50, which is neutral, but it's up from a very fearful 27 last week. So I think the sudden rise in Bitcoin over the weekend seemed to have pushed the needle into neutral territory, but not past it. So it's really signaling that traders are still being somewhat cautious about this rise. I think a lot of us have been burnt one or two or 100 times with this rise and fall of Bitcoin. So we're all being a little bit neutral about is it going to rise? Is it going to fall? So October has what, 3 days left to it. So let's see if October can live up to its namesake. And
Absolutely.
let's see if it and hopefully it will continue into November.
I like that. That's a pretty new one. I think I've never heard that
Fine.
before. Vicky's just
I
penned it
made it
right.
up.
I think we need to put that on the socials and Vicky can claim it's probably of it's well done. Lovely. But let's have a look at this because what is interesting is that traditionally, like you said, that kind of October started on a fairly positive note. I'm gonna have a quick look, I'll bring up the charts. But there is speculation or there are thoughts that this may be the first red October ever. So we know that paradigms are shifting. A lot of the hype that people speak about, things are shifting. September has always historically been a bit red. That's the first red year compared to the last previous years, but things can change, and that's important. We need to be able to flow with that change and be able to be adaptable. And that's what we teach within HODLNOTS with our various courses and understanding. Trade what you can see, right? So let's have a quick look at what Bitcoin is looking to do over the next few days, especially the factors that we're going into, as Vicky said, the last few days of the month. Now, October did start quite positively. We had quite a nice run, especially into that all-time high, depending on the exchange you're looking at, but around 126,200. And since then, we know there were quite a few whales that were selling off, quite some big liquidation events. But since we reached a bit of a bottom and finding some good support, if you're seeing a whole bunch of colored lines and indicators you don't quite understand, there is a solution for that, definitely. But what we're going to just tell you right off the bat is that, and we've mentioned this for the last, I think, forever, is that 115,000 is kind of the stabilization point. We need to make sure that today's candle stays up above 115,000. Currently, right there, we need to see that happen. So. There is some bullish news, obviously, with the US-China trade talks that are taking place this week. There's some more bullish news, obviously, around CZ's release. And yeah, we may well see some potential new highs for certain coins. We well think that BNB may hit some new highs as well. But specifically Bitcoin, we're looking at the market starting to shift. Just starting to look at this, not just the fear and greed index. We're starting to see things are looking pretty good. And I anticipate that we're going to see some upward sideways movement for the next few days. We're obviously going to be dealing with some heavy resistance zones where Bitcoin struggled to get past struggled to get past in the past. Obviously, but there's a lot of bullish sentiment coming in. So I think once we start breaking 116, 117, we're going to be going through a fair bit of that. But I think once we hit about 119, exactly about 120, we're going to start to see things stabilize and then start to push up again. It's not going to be all-time high this week, in my opinion. That's just the very basic hillbilly TA of mine. But again, for those of you who might not have the HODL Lots indicator with all these beautiful lines and indicators, you may well have the HODL Fire as well. You may be looking to trade Bitcoin. Some of you might have added to your bags when there was a bit of a dip. We've seen some really good support around that. And again, this it seems like a slightly easier chart to read compared to the less lines, but there is so much more to the HODL Fire than just this. We actually have a course on again next week. I'm sure we might talk about that towards the end of this call. But that's it. At the moment, Bitcoin is a buy if we're looking just at these on-chain metrics at the moment. And yeah, in terms of Bitcoin dominance, again, ladies and gents, we've said for a while that we want to see Bitcoin get up above 115, stabilize. I don't mind if it goes a little sideways. And if that happens, what we'd like to start to see is that less trading happens around Bitcoin, obviously the buys and sells. What we'd like to see if Bitcoin stabilizes and there's not too much volume coming in or out, that might well then go a little sideways. But what that does allow is that if people are like, cool, Bitcoin is stable, they might start putting money into Ethereum, Solana, and the rest of these altcoins that we love trading, whether it be scalp trading, hodl trades, and more. And what will happen then is that there'll be fewer trades, buys and sells with Bitcoin, and this should start dropping, which means that more money is going into the trades of these altcoins. And that's what we want to see. We want to see this drop. We want to start to see that volatility of those increase. So I'm going to feel, yeah, fairly bullish that the alt coins are going to start to run again. Once we start to see this kind of trend support area being broken, it's not just colored lines. There's a lot more to it than that. I'm going to be quite happy once we see Bitcoin dominance drop just below about 59%. So you know what? I'm going to set an alert for that because once that happens, this is obviously the day chart, we're going to start to see more and more of these, not these couple up here on the Binance watch list having some decent percentage runs, but we're going to start to see pretty much the whole page, at least the first page of this section, probably in the 20s, 30s, and higher. That's going to be pretty exciting. So we're all looking forward to that. But in the meantime, while Bitcoin is finding its feet, you can see there are some great coins running, and I'm sure our Den and our HODL traders as well are starting to get really excited and take some great trades and profits along the way. Exciting times, Vix. Very, very exciting as we get back into our favorite time, a little bit of old season.
Yeah, let's cross our fingers. And speaking of alt season, that's what we like to trade in the lodge. So let us see what's in the lodge. It's a fairly standard week, actually. There's not a lot of extra calls in the lodge. So as usual, after this call, the week kicks off, actually not quite in the lodge, but with our self-paced course takers who are busy with chapters 1 to 3, and they will have their call later today at 12 p.m. UTC. And then the calls in the lodge continue as usual with Wendy's normal lodge trading call on Tuesday at 8 a.m. UTC, where our large members can jump on and ask questions. And then for those who have completed the HODL Fire course, you will have your next support call later that day, Tuesday, 12 p.m. UTC. And last week's call was fantastic. We had lots of great questions on the course material. We actually found quite a few coins to trade as well, and everyone was interacting. So those are really starting to be quite fun. And then the calls continue on the 29th. Mm.
We just lost you for a second there. I think you're back.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. So my connection is unstable. So I said, great for everyone to be leveling up in this market. So well done, pat on the back to everyone that's leveling up. And then the week continues on Thursday with the second of our HODL calls for those of you that are taking the 3M challenge. And that is the 7 a.m. UTC, which is actually a little bit of a different time. So please look at the calendar and the Certified Academy because those are always updated. So if you're not sure, please look in the calendar. If you can't get into the Certified Academy, just tag me in the lodge and I will help you out with that. And then lastly, the week always ends with our second of our self-paced course calls with those people that are doing chapter 4 onwards.
Mm.
So nothing really unusual. It's still a busy week, but nothing else. So it's a bit of a breather. Let's everyone hopefully can regroup with this new push with Bitcoin and start trading a lot again.
Absolutely. Now it's the time, ladies and gents. If you have not learned how to trade, you might be receiving signals, which is great. But as the market kind of goes sideways and a lot of people are unsure what Bitcoin is perhaps doing, it is starting to look a little bit more bullish, a little bit more positive. But time to take control of your own destinies, in our opinion. And in the chat down below, we've dropped two of the links towards either the self-paced course which you can do in your own time over 3 months, which is great in terms of learning how to read time frames, read the charts, use the HODLNOTS indicator, that powerful 15-in-1 indicator with all the alerts. And you can learn to trade on the 1 minute chart, you can trade on the higher time frames. And then for those of you very interested in the HODL Fire course, we launched the first one just 2.5 weeks ago. Superb. I'm looking forward to that call with the graduates again tomorrow. But our very next one is actually happening next week, and we are going to be catering towards those in the Western Hemisphere, specifically the States and Canada, but of course in Europe and in Africa, South Africa as well. We're quite excited. I think I'll give you guys a little heads up. We're going to be dropping a couple of testimonies this week in the Telegram channels and on the socials. So we've got interviewed not only English speakers, but we have French and German as well. I'm very excited to see those. As mentioned before, you get to hear how amazing Vicky's French is and my German. Actually joking, it's not about us, it's about the students. So look out for those. Reminder, HODLNOTS, certified HODLNOTS, you do get a great discount on that. It is a 2-day jam-packed course with a lot of great information to be able to utilize. And as Vicky mentioned, some of those coins that we looked at last week with the graduate call, they're actually been running. Some of the students actually grabbed 20+% in a matter of 2, 3 hours on one of the coins that was called by one of our graduates as well. So we're looking forward to that. I'm very excited for that as well. So yeah, definitely some things happening this week in the lodge, but great opportunities for all of you to start to upskill if you have not yet. And if you are in the lodge and you are a graduate, do ask your questions. Wendy's training is coming up tomorrow as well. Lots of great opportunities to hone those skills. Now, we've been giving away a couple of clues over the last couple of weeks. We're into our seventh letter of this mystery words, and if it might assist you in watching some of the previous recordings. If you haven't yet, I see there are a couple of new faces here and a couple of faces we haven't seen in a while, so it's great to see you as well. I'm not going to call you out by name, but Vicky, I think we need a little bit of a recap in random order because we had one or two
Ooh.
guesses and people were literally putting each of the letters together as you were showing them last week and coming up with some interesting words. I had to consult the dictionary on a couple of those, but can we have a quick recap as to what the previous six letters were and what the seventh out of however many letters there might be? Because, ladies and gents, opportunity to win for yourself a 30-day HODL Fire indicator subscription. Obviously, you do get 2 free calls for that as well. So, what was one of the first letters? It doesn't have to be in particular order.
Oh, one of the first letters was this,
Okay, all right.
this, this.
That is correct,
That's
yes.
right, isn't it? Okay.
Yes.
And then, of course, we have our old favorite, this. Everyone should know what that is now. Yep, we had that. And then we had, no, this.
Yeah, without the thumb. All right, fantastic. Yes.
Like that. And then we had two, two
Other
of
way.
these,
Other way.
two of these.
Yes. Two of
Mhm.
those.
Mhm.
So there's a and a and two of those. Okay.
Oh, and then we had this, but without the point. So this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I see
I think
what
that's
you
it,
did there.
actually.
Mm-hmm. All right. All right. That's all six. What is the seventh out of however many letters there are?
So the seventh letter is no, this, this,
Yes.
this.
Something like that. Yes. All right. See if you guys can
Mm.
figure that out. Cryptic hand signals. All right, for those.
Not this, not this. I'm just doing that, not that.
If you think you know what it is, you can then send in a support ticket in your Bitcoin Tap back office quickly, because I think a couple of people on this call may well get it quite soon. Otherwise, you can also send an email, hello@hodlnots.com, and you can win that HODL Fire indicator for 30 days for yourself. Exciting times. So, quite a bit happening this week, not as much as normal, but great opportunities to learn, to go out and scalp trade, hodl fire trade. And what kind of motivational words are you leaving with us this week to ruminate on as we go forward?
Yeah, well, look, Halloween is right around the corner, depending on if you celebrate it or not, which is, oh no, that. Nope, oop, this.
Yeah,
There. It's harder than it looks. Okay. And obviously, there we go. And then obviously you can tell because the stores are all decked out for Christmas already. So, and with the financial uncertainty really that is kind of gripping the world, really, the US shutdown, I thought it was apropos to quote a very well-known quote. It's Franklin D. Roosevelt in 1933, around this economic terror, really, of the times, but kind of a Halloween spin on it. So the only thing we have to fear is fear itself, and maybe some spiders. We fear those as well.
especially if you're in Australia where everything is out to kill you. All right. So, fear not, ladies and gents. The only way to understand crypto and not be fearful of it is to power yourselves up. So, watch out for them spiders. Look out for some great calls. And we will see you guys next week, Monday, again for the 19th edition of this weekly warm up. Other than that, we'll catch you on some of the other calls during this week. And look out for those testimonies. To come as well about that HODL Fire course next week. Very exciting. Looking forward to meeting and seeing some old and familiar faces on those. We'll catch you soon again. Thanks for all the emojis and emoticons and being here. Do drop in your guess for what that word might be to win that HODL Fire for 30 days. Fantastic. Until next week.